Maverick Trading is always looking for new technologies and cutting-edge software. In over 25 years, we've found many different successful strategies. However, they all are dependent on a good software system. Since our traders trade firm capital, we want to make sure they have their best foot forward. ThinkorSwim is one of the best options pricing tools out there and a favorite amongst the Maverick community. As a community, we like to share our findings with each other and the public. If joining a community is something that you'd be interested in and being a professional trader, come check us out. Let's get into the tutorial. Well, hello everybody, it's Joe from Maverick once again. Let's get into another how-to ThinkorSwim video. Today I'm going to be going over a chart overview. It's going to be a very basic overview. I've got 3 or 4 other courses that gets deeper in the chart, but for now, let's just jump into it. So the first thing you're going to go to is the charts. That's this tab right here. One thing that I thought was super cool, one thing that I found with one of my traders is you can actually expand or contract this if you've got this side margin, which most ThinkorSwim will have as a default. You can just simply move it over. It was super helpful if you want to get super deep into your charts, although if you've got a monitor big enough, you might not even need to do it. I'm going to focus today specifically on the top, the right side, and the bottom of the chart. I'm just going to give an overview of what's up there, the icons, and there's a lot of redundancies when it comes to setting studies and changing things, so I'll make sure I make note of those. So first off, it's pretty simple. You got the ticker symbol right here, SPX. I'm going to use this as my go-to for this class. You can type in any ticker symbol you want. This is where it changes. It tells you what it is. It tells you the current price. It tells you what it's up or down for the day, percentage, and dollar amount along with the current bid and ask. Below that will tell you the time frame you're looking at, which I'll show you in here in a second. It gives you the day, which is the date, open, high, low, close. This will also give you the range for each candlestick and the y-axis. So if you guys want to keep an eye up top here, I'll go ahead and circle it. As I move my mouse around and I find specific candlesticks, it will give me not only the y value as when I move my cursor up and down, but it'll also give me the range for that day. Continuing on, we've got any sort of indicator that you have. You can see here I've got a simple moving average, a 50-day. I've got a 20-day here, which is red, and a 200-day, which is pink. So you can see these visually here on the chart. You can also read them up top, but here's where it becomes redundant. I'm going to go ahead and skip over to the right side, this price side, but if you take a look at some of these highlighted bullets, I've got the exact price where they correlate. So based on the average I'm looking at in this case, it's a 20, 50, and 200. You can see them over here on the right side that's where they are correlating to. So maybe you know this, maybe you don't. That's great. Let's go back up to the top here. You can share your chart. You can, which basically gives you just a link you can just copy and paste and send to people. This is what I thought was pretty cool. This chart describer is something specific to ThinkorSwim. It'll give you a couple of things that might be outside of some parameters. So in this case, we've got a trading range. The velocity percentage is higher than the average 50 days. We've got a stochastics indicator, things of that nature. Now you can set these or just allow ThinkorSwim to do them for you. This will be updated. It usually kind of streams. If you want to add the studies to the chart at any time, you can just by clicking this. Something new to me. And I'll just tell you the truth, folks, I don't use that often. This is where you're going to get to your studies and your chart settings, which are 2 separate courses I'm going to get to later. This is your time frame setup. So let's get into this. I've got a 6-month daily chart here. You can see a couple of defaults that come with the program and things that I've added because you can actually create your own. If I go to time frame here, I can actually build any sort of time frame that I want and add it to my list. If you want to make it a favorite, all you have to do is add a star to it up here on the right. Trading style, we're going to get to that later. This is the drawing settings if you want to do all sorts of drawings. But then we go right back to studies. Drop-down menu that goes to a drop-down menu if that's kind of your game. However, I'm not that guy. If I use the study beaker over here, I can create my own window. Once again, I've got another class for that. Patterns is something that's really cool. You can select patterns. It's going to give a classic pattern, which is going to be a price action pattern. You can choose a candlestick pattern and a Fibonacci pattern all at once. And what's really cool about this, based on your prowess, if you want to go ahead and just go and okay and apply these things, then you can go ahead and select at any time, show me if there's any sort of those interesting patterns on the chart I'm looking at. This is something that I haven't really played with a lot but it might be kind of neat if you're looking for something specific in your top-down approach. If I've got a bear trade or a bull trade or a bearish market, bullish market, then I put those in there accordingly. Moving over to the right side, the first thing I want to say is you notice that my arrow here has split to up or down. If I left click, regular click and hold and move up and down, I can expand the chart and shrink the chart. This is really nice when it comes to drawing or trying to do some sort of projections or Fibonacci's, things of that nature. Let's move over to the bottom. The bottom is time, which is the exact same thing. You can see that I put my mouse over here. It doesn't matter where I am on the board. It goes left and right. Left click, hold. I can drag left and right, and I can move left and right based on whatever my default is. A couple other things I'll show you before I cut you loose. I've got the indicator here. So what's really cool, these are also your drawing tools. So at the bottom I've got this little bit of a finger because that's where I've defaulted to. Now what's great about the finger is I can actually click and hold and drag the chart around. I'll show you that in a second. But if I decide to click it, I can go to a pointer, all sort of my drawing tools. I've got a course on this, by the way, folks, so please go ahead and take a look at it. You'll notice that it's also all the way up here. This is kind of a very redundant software. I found this to be really cool because you can find 2 or 3 different ways to do the exact same thing. So if I go to drawings, you can see I've got that exact same tab that I do if I go just straight down here, right? Sometimes it's just knowing where to find it. Pretty easy here. I've got a zoom in tab. I've got a zoom out tab. But you notice that when I'm zoomed all the way in, it won't be available to me. A lot of questions I get when it comes to the cursor. This is it. When you get cursor settings, I've got none, which means I can free roam a cursor. Let me get back to it. This is my finger. Go back to that. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't give me any crosshairs. But if I click on this, I can do just a horizontal. I can do a vertical. I can do a crosshair altogether, which is my favorite because now when I have my crosshair, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Whatever my crosshair's on, I'm going to reference you back up to the top side here. Let me highlight it. This is going to show you where the simple moving averages are, my range for whatever I'm on, the y-axis, the open, close, low, so on and so forth. All right, well that's it in a nutshell. Very easy. This is something you're going to want to play with when it comes to increasing or decreasing your visual view, sizing things, playing around with that. Let me show you one last thing before I cut you loose. This little finger, if I left click and hold while the finger's on, I can move this up and down, left and right. I can kind of manually move everything I want. So it's kind of a really cool thing to do. You just got to get used to it. That's a brief overview, folks, when it comes to just the chart. I'm going to get specific into the indicators. I'm going to get specific into the settings and the studies in another class. But until then, folks, I hope you really enjoyed what we put down there. And if you've got any questions, get a hold of us. We're at Maverick Trading. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you next time.